felt compelled to just talk about what's happening right now. So, for those who haven't followed, earlier today, there is a suspect. He's an Afghan national who allegedly shot and almost tried to kill two National Guardsmen. Thankfully, they're still alive, but critically wounded. Two National Guard members were shot near the White House. And the individual is an Afghan who came in as through a refugee program, the 2021 program, Operation Allies Welcome. It was a Biden-era program which provided entry to Afghan nationals who were fleeing the Taliban. And this is when Biden hastily, if you recall, did the chaotic withdrawal of U.S. troops, and so many Afghans were left behind. Those Afghans included many Afghan translators, many Afghan men and women who were promised safety, who were promised a refuge in the United States of America, for helping U.S. troops to their own detriment, to their families' detriment. These are people who helped the United States during their failed war on terror, in the longest war that went on for nearly 2 decades, a useless war in which 19 foreign hijackers, none of them from Afghanistan, brought down the two towers, and this country lost its mind and then decided to declare a war on terror against Afghanistan, Iraq, and then, of course, drone bombings, and we killed maybe more than 1 million people, traumatized generations, and that was a choice. We also created ICE, Patriot Act, but those Afghans nonetheless helped our U.S. soldiers, saved U.S. soldiers' lives, and they were promised refuge in the United States of America. So in the aftermath of this one individual who's 29 years old, his name is Rahmanullah Lakanwal. We really don't know his motive. We don't know why he did what he did, but that hasn't stopped Donald Trump from getting out of his slumber or his mini stroke and declaring this an act of terror. Furthermore, again, no motive, have no idea why this guy did what he did. Furthermore, he has deployed another 500 additional National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. to supplement more than the 2,000 already there, literally wasting their time, literally doing nothing except walking around with their guns and picking up trash. I know, because each and every single time I go to Washington, D.C. and I go to Union Station, they're literally just there. We just nod our head. They nod at us. They look bored. There should be no reason for the National Guard to be in any American city right now. Now, lot happening right now. If you were a masochist like me, you went on Twitter, which is basically MAGA headquarters filled with foreign bots and Nazis and trolls, some of the most shameless people on earth. They were frothing at the mouth, drooling. They love this. This is the greatest thing that happened. Two National Guard members shot by an Afghan national. Oh my God. Laura Loomer has a boner right now. All of them love it because now they can be both Islamophobic and they can be anti-immigrant and they can be nativist, and it's all coming up. Now, let's just pause for a second. I'm old enough to remember when this happened a couple of months ago. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed before there was any suspect, before there was any evidence. Donald Trump, who can't be bothered to read his security briefings, nonetheless addressed the world and blamed the violence on left-wing rhetoric. You all remember that? And Stephen Miller said, the last thing that Charlie Kirk told me before he died was to go against the left. And even after, it was Tyler Robinson, a white man from a conservative Christian family who was allegedly apolitical and got radicalized. We never hear about him. Have you noticed that? The FBI under Kash Patel was lost. The day before Tyler Robinson turned himself in, based on a family member urging him to do so, Kash Patel and the FBI had no idea. They were leaking stuff, desperately trying to make it a transgender shooter, desperately trying to make it Antifa, desperately trying to make it the left. You all remember that? No motive, no suspect, no evidence. Then they got Tyler Robinson, and then they still continued saying they and them and they and them. And then Candace Owens, who has a huge megaphone and influences the right wing, went full conspiratorial, says, I don't believe Kash Patel. I don't believe the deep state. Furthermore, Steve Bannon said, I don't believe the FBI. Cat Turd said it as well. So now they've gone, if you've been following the right wing, they've gone in this massive conspiracy theory. They're blaming like all these foreign actors. I won't get into it. But no trust in MAGA when it comes to the FBI and Kash Patel. Speaking about Kash Patel, that Kash Patel who has no FBI background, earlier today at the press conference, he vowed he will keep fighting, and he vowed he will investigate until they have a suspect. Well, guess what? They already had a suspect. This is who is leading the FBI. He literally came out and said, "We will try to find the suspect." And people are like, "Yo, bro, don't you already have a suspect?" Like Twitter saying it's an Afghan national. Are you saying that there's other suspects? No, he's just incompetent. Probably because he's using and abusing taxpayer dollars to go in the private jet and go visit his honeypot girlfriend. Apparently, he's taken that jet more than 18 times, and also has given her security because that's what they do. And then you say, well, how will MAGA politicize this? Well, in addition to calling it a terror suspect, in addition to being Islamophobic, they somehow tied this to the left. How they tied this to the left? Well, they said just a couple of days ago, you had these Democrats, all of whom, unlike Trump, actually served, literally said, because we have the evidence of our ears, they said to anyone who's serving, disobey illegal orders. Disobey illegal orders, right? That's what they said. So they said literally, your oath and your duty and your loyalties in the United States and the Constitution says that you cannot obey illegal orders. So what MAGA said was, see, they said that, and look, this happened. How is the two of them connected? They aren't. But this is MAGA brain. Then they found this old clip, I think like a month ago, or where I interviewed Don Lemon. Don Lemon had just come back from Chicago. And Don Lemon said, "Listen, man, I've been talking to black and brown folks in Chicago. There's a Second Amendment right, legally and peacefully. Everyone should exercise their Second Amendment right." That's what he said on my show. And he says, people should have guns in their home. Second Amendment, what the right wing says all the time: exercise your Second Amendment rights lawfully. Be protected. That's all. They lost their mind then. And then earlier today, if you noticed, Don Lemon was trending, and they have that clip. And then they said, "Waj and Don Lemon are inciting violence against the the sorry, I have family members around. They're inciting violence against the National Guard, but anyone with ears can actually listen." But they're so desperate. They're so desperate because Donald Trump is underwater when it comes to the economy. Donald Trump is underwater when it comes to Epstein overreach on immigration, right? So that's just for those who haven't followed the story. That's what's happening. We still don't have a motive, but that hasn't stopped Donald Trump from calling it a terror attack. And furthermore, even worse, the Trump administration now has paused immigration from Afghanistan. They had said they stopped processing immigration applications from Afghanistan hours after officials in Washington detained an Afghan man they said had shot these two National Guard troops. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services made the announcement on social media. And then furthermore, he doubled down on his failed policy and brought 500 more National Guard members literally the day before Thanksgiving to waste their time and patrol the streets. This is, of course, right after a judge had said that the deployment of the National Guard was illegal. But that holding was on stay. And imagine 2 weeks ago if they literally had just listened to the judge and said, "Well, a judge said that our deployment of the National Guard is illegal," that man would have been home. My take on this: first and foremost, the National Guard should not be there. There should be no reason for any of those people to have been there. You can hold two truths at the same time. What happened to these two individuals was a tragedy. We condemn it, and they should not have been in there in the first place. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller unleashed the National Guard and the military and ICE on these blue cities as part of a designed plan to incite. They want an insurrection. How do we know? The Wall Street Journal in the summer said that Stephen Miller, the call came from Stephen Miller, a mini Himmler, Pee Wee German, to unleash massed armed ICE agents in LA peacefully, peaceful place in LA against Home Depot and 7-Eleven, and he wanted a confrontation and clash. What happened? There was no confrontation. There was no clash, to the point where even the LAPD thanked publicly on social media the local community leaders for working with them, right? But the Wall Street Journal, that flaming left-wing rag, said that nope, the call came from Miller. He's the one who gave the directive, and he wants this. He wants the blood. He wants the clash. Why does he want the clash? Because the clash will then justify something they have been saying for the past couple of months: insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. In fact, just last week, Stephen Miller went on Fox News and said those Democrats, those Democratic lawmakers who said don't obey illegal orders, this is, what was his word? Anyone take a guess? Insurrection. Who has also used the word insurrection and invoked the Insurrection Act recently? Pam Bondi. When asked whether or not he would invoke the Insurrection Act recently, Donald Trump didn't say no. So this has been happening since the summer, unleashing master armed ICE agents, unleashing the military, unleashing the National Guard, folks. I'm telling you, in DC, they're literally just sit there and walk and waste their time. Okay. So this has been happening. And since the summer, Stephen Miller has said there's an invasion happening. There's an invasion, and we have to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. You know, the Alien Enemies Act that was invoked to do what? If you remember, during World War II, to intern innocent Americans of Japanese descent on trumped up charges, right? And suspicion. Oh, look what's happening to Afghans right now. History rhymes. The Supreme Court, in a rare rebuke, said no, there's no invasion, and these are not suitable times to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. So they've been itching. They've been itching for a confrontation so they can do the Insurrection Act. Once they do the Insurrection Act, they can unleash the military and the National Guard, across the cities or anywhere they want to. Now it's in Portland, Charlotte, Chicago, DC, California. And I've always warned that this is a prelude to martial law. If it seems like Trump is going to go underwater, Epstein files, the economy, overreach, going to lose midterms, I still say that I'm afraid this guy is going to go for martial law. So if you've been following Twitter all day, reboot of exactly what happened after Charlie Kirk. They're frothing out the mouth. They have like erections right now. They're giddy. They're giddy that this happened. They're so happy it was an Afghan national. The fee, fi, full fum, they're so happy. Islamophobia, denaturalize people, deport them, and birthright citizenship, right? So let's take a step back and let's pause. And let's use MAGA logic because it's fun sometimes. They're blaming Biden. Biden's no longer president, but they said it was 2021, and this man came under the Biden era, if you remember, program to help those Afghans who were forced to flee. Well, facts matter. And the Republicans, because they're so incompetent and they're so reckless and they're so dumb and they're filled with so much arrogance and ego, and they have the world's most idiotic people, they can't even gaslight properly anymore. They can't even just do basic research. So they went ahead and they promoted this Biden, Biden, Biden. It's the Biden era. And then a little bit of facts. This man, this alleged shooter, was granted asylum. When? During the second Trump administration. So by your own logic, if Biden is responsible for helping all of these Afghans, these Afghans that we killed, tortured, maimed for nearly 20 years, these Afghans who helped U.S. troops and then we abandoned them, we meaning the United States of America, both liberals, Democrats, and Republicans. Let's be honest, let's be fair. Well, then what about the guy who should have vetted him and then granted him asylum? That's you, Trump administration. That's you, Department of Homeland Security. That's you, Kristi Noem. Whoopsie. All right, now, you want to go after all Afghans and you want to deport all Afghan immigrants. You want to deport all Muslims because one Afghan shot these two National Guards people. We still don't know the motive. Okay. By your same logic, then, who tried to assassinate Donald Trump? A white man who loved guns, came from a Christian conservative family, another white man from Florida, who killed, allegedly, Charlie Kirk, a white man, Tyler Robinson, who came from a Christian conservative family, who ran their car into a Mormon church, burned it down in Michigan, like last month, it was September, a white man, who had a list of 70 people, was radicalized by QAnon, Trump supporter, and killed Melissa Horman and her husband, a white man, who is the number one shooter in America in terms of mass shooting, white men. When it comes to cracking down on terrorism, the Department of Homeland Security had in its website, the DOJ had in its website, the study that showed that the number one domestic terror threat in terms of both incidents and violence was right-wing terrorism and white supremacist violence. They scrubbed it. They scrubbed that report from the DOJ website, much like, the job numbers. Anything they don't like gets scrubbed. All right. So here I'm saying, whenever you use this logic, and I went on Twitter because I was stuck on a plane for 2 hours. It was delayed. So I just went back and forth on Twitter. And these people have no responses. It's just some bots, most likely, probably not even in America, just saying racist stuff. Then they had Elon Musk, an immigrant, talking about immigration. And I always anytime he says something like that, I always just say, you're an immigrant, Elon Musk. So this is where we are. We're in a situation where this is the greatest gift for the right wing right before Thanksgiving. They're desperately trying to politicize this to go after Muslims, Afghans, and immigrants. You already has said it, like for those who are joining us a bit late, the cruelty in that they're pausing the immigration from Afghanistan, the country that the United States raped, decimated, traumatized, that had nothing, no Afghan national had anything to do with the 19 foreign hijackers. These Afghans literally helped keep U.S. soldiers alive, but they're going to punish all Afghans because of one dude. He's using the word terror. We still don't know his motive. Literally, folks, they just did this playbook with Charlie Kirk. It lasted in the news for 2 weeks. We had shitty corporate centrists and the establishment Democrats and establishment media who come out and said Charlie Kirk did politics the right way. Let's see how they throw Afghans and immigrants under the bus. I look forward to James Carville's new anti-woke piece. I digress. But for the rest of you, I want you all to keep your eyes wide open. I think there's overreach. I think it's Thanksgiving weekend. I think people are hurting. I think there's the economy is getting worse. I think people are like, you know what? We're done with your bullshit. F you. You're doubling down literally on the failed policy that has caused you to be -10 on immigration. People are sick and tired of seeing our poor National Guard members waste their service like this. They're sick and tired of having masked armed agents show up at our schools, zip tie kids, throw women and men on the ground. We're sick and tired of having you go after immigrants. You see Charlotte getting pissed off. You see Chicago getting pissed off. LA getting pissed off. Portland getting pissed off. You're perfectly fine with white refugees from South Africa coming. You're perfectly fine with crime because you pardoned 1,600 violent insurrectionists, some of them who beat up law officers. So you don't give a shit about the blue. One of these violent insurrectionists literally was arrested last week for sexually assaulting a minor. One of them was arrested for trying to, plot violence against a Democrat. You said nothing when all these men are white men. So you know what? Go F yourself. Release the Epstein files and enjoy your turkey. That's how I feel. I'm like, I'm done. Miss me with your BS. Miss me with your bad faith whataboutism. Miss me with your double standards. You're so incompetent. You're so shameless. We're sick and tired of it. Don't entertain it, folks. The fact that I'm doing this, I'm obviously entertaining it, but I felt compelled to because I feel so bad about what's about to happen to Afghans. And I hope we don't pile on. Afghan people, folks, or refugees multiple times over. I grew up in Fremont, California. It has and had a very large Afghan population. That Afghan population, if you've ever read Kite Runner, Fremont, that's my hometown. Many Afghans, right? They went from Afghanistan to Pakistan to Germany, and many of them then came to Fremont. And they were refugees of the first war, where Russia invaded, right? And then the Taliban were the freedom fighters. Oh, Reagan loved them. Remember that? They came here, they lost everything. So I grew up with a lot of those folks. A lot of those people have unprocessed trauma, right? But nonetheless, they worked hard. They made their lives, brilliant men and women who were doctors and professors and diplomats. They came here, they couldn't find a job. So they were doing jobs, honestly. I don't want to say a job is beneath anyone, but there were brilliant, educated surgeons were like, well, gotta drive a taxi. What can I do? And they did it. And their kids then got super educated. And now we see a second wave of refugees that have come because of America's failed war on terror, where let's be honest, both Biden and the Trump administration just completely threw these Afghans under the bus. Biden said, I'm sick and tired of it. Done. Bye. All right, we're just literally going to take off. And then you're going to see Afghans running. Remember that? Remember those from 2021? I thought it was shameful. We abandoned these Afghans, but then they're like, okay, there's a program to resettle them. And now, because one guy, I don't know, maybe the guy went nutty. Maybe the guy got radicalized due to a local issue. Maybe the guy is a violent jihadi. We don't know. But because of one guy who shot it, now they're literally punishing all Afghans, all immigrants, all Muslims. Meanwhile, a stone's throw away from where this happened, 1,600 insurrectionists incited by Donald Trump came, smeared shit in the U.S. Capitol, beat up cops, and literally some of them tried to assassinate our elected officials, and they are seen as heroes and patriots by MAGA, literally pardoned. Some of them literally have gone money, like Ashley Babbitt's family, and we're supposed to sit here and believe that they're pro-blue, pro-peace, pro-security. Bullshit. Just call them out on their bullshit. Say F you. F you all. You can't even gaslight properly. You want to blame Biden? Who's the person who gave him asylum? Trump. Now it's on you. You want to blame all Afghans for this crime? Okay, using your logic, deport all white men. Sorry, white men are the problem. Number one mass shooters, white men. Sorry, your rules. You're saying that the people who are in charge should be responsible. You're in charge. Why'd this happen? Why'd this happen, Christy Noem? Christy Noem, throw you under the bus. Christy Noem, you're failing at your job. The DOJ just threw you under the bus, Christy Noem, and said you were the one who defied the judge's order to turn around the plane of the 230 men who were flown to die and be tortured in El Salvador. That came out in the morning. Someone literally threw Christy Noem under the bus. So, Christy Noem, you got to go. DHS, Pam Bondi, DOJ, what are you doing? Kash Patel, maybe stop hanging around with your honeypot. This is all on you guys. And furthermore, bringing back full circle, and I know this pissed off some people when I said it, the National Guard should never have been deployed in the first place. They don't need to be there. They should be at home with their families. They should be doing some honorable work. They did not sign up to literally waste their time on taxpayer dollars and pick up trash. And now Donald Trump, because of course, morons love being more moronic, has now asked for 500 more people, loves it. It's escalation for him. It's incitement. Listen to their words. Listen to them. Take them literally and seriously. They have kept using the word insurrection, and insurrection will be a prelude to the martial law. He's negative double digits in the economy. He's negative double digits on immigration. He's negative double digits on Epstein, and everything's about to get worse. I believe he'll have maybe a couple of days of lift on this. Maybe it's Thanksgiving. It's the break. People are with their families. I think the economic numbers are going to come out in a couple of days. It's not going to be good. People ain't going to forget about Epstein files. There'll be more and more distractions, more and more overreach and violence by ICE. And you're going to see chaos. And I don't think they're going to get the political wins that they might have gotten 3 or 4 months ago. That's just my take on it. I just want us to. I just felt compelled to call this out because it's so egregious, it's so shameless, the double standards, the hypocrisy, that, without any notes, top of my head, I can break it down. You can't win over MAGA. Trust me, I've gone on Twitter. It's done. But MAGA's cracking. They're not the majority. You can win over everyone else. And I think most people could say, cool, cool, cool. Release the Epstein files, fix the economy, mother effer. F you, F off. You're blaming all Afghans for one crazy person? Okay. Why'd you pardon the 1,600 violent insurrectionists? And why'd you scrub the data that says right-wing terror and white supremacy are the number one domestic terror threat? And what about the guy who tried to shoot Trump? How come we don't know about him? And also, what was Tyler Robinson's motivation? How come we don't hear about him anymore? How come you guys don't talk about Vance Bolter? And didn't you guys already go through this dangerous charade a couple of months ago? And you blamed the left and liberals and you said it was terror, but then it ended up being a white guy. So how can you say all this stuff when you don't have any evidence? And how can Kash Patel come out and say he's looking for a suspect when there was already a suspect? And why is Kash Patel taking the plane and wasting our taxpayer dollars to travel around with his honeypot girlfriend? And why is Kristi Noem have two jets worth $180 million? And what is Kristi Noem doing? And why did Kristi Noem, by the way, ignore a judge's order? And speaking about judges, yeah, what about that judge who said the deployment of the National Guard is illegal? Maybe you should have listened to that judge. And if you listened to that judge 2 weeks ago, all these people could have been home. So, yeah, you're at fault. That's what I try to do. This bothered me. It's now Thanksgiving. I wanted to take tomorrow off. So I decided just to go on at 2 a.m. and share some thoughts. And there's 500 people up. I hope you all can enjoy your family. I hope you all can relax. I hope you all can rest. It's Thanksgiving. Death by 1,000 cuts, folks. Do not give an inch to bad faith actors. Do not concede an inch to them. Take them on every step of the way. Talk to people. Bring out logic bombs if you have to. Do the use the MAGA logic against them. You can't shame them. They're shameless people. But for everyone else. And then at the end say, cool, cool, cool. Well, release the Epstein files and make the economy better. That's what you promised. They can't. They're stuck. So we're in it. Trump is a desperate, cornered rat. He's going to exploit this in the most cruel ways possible against the most marginalized people, Afghan immigrants who literally risked their lives to help our soldiers in a war that should have never happened. But I digress. So please, if you can, don't fall into the nativism, the anti-immigrant bigotry, the anti-Afghan bigotry, the anti-Muslim bigotry, and especially if you're white, your skin tone, your skin color is a superpower in this country. When white people come out in front and say this country pays attention. When I say it, they're like, yeah, whatever, brown guy, Muslim. But when we have white allies echoing our message, it creates protection for all of us. So everyone, enjoy your family. I think tomorrow, well, today for Thanksgiving, we're pretty much going to chill. All my kids got kind of a small virus, so they're going to play with their cousins, chill, might eat some tasty food, and maybe, just maybe, if they feel better, I have been told we have to go see Zootopia too. Um, Thank you all. This is a left hook. Everything is free without paywall. If you aren't a free subscriber, just subscribe. It's free. And if you can be a paid subscriber, I'm independent. It's $5 a month. I've kept it super cheap. It helps me do this. But if you don't have the money, I get it. Just become a free subscriber and spread the word. Take care, and I hopefully won't see you until next week, but I might, just might, see you on Friday and Saturday if I'm up. Take care, everyone.